Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and today we've got some very strong champions coming up for the Summon Rush for the Fusion this weekend, which of course, it's a tricky one. We're going to break it down though, and I've got a giveaway for you guys to take part in as well. So here we go. These are going to be the champions that are boosted at the weekend, and for the giveaway, these are the monthly CC giveaways. I'm always late submitting my winners. This time I'm well early, so it might take maybe even 3 weeks or so for the rewards to show up. But 5 of you will get 540 gems. 5 of you will get 540 gems plus a void shard plus an epic tome. It won't be on time, of course, to pull for this event, but you will have it for the future, which is cool. What you have to do to enter is enter your number, which you can find over here. Copy this into your comment and tell me which of these champions you would want the most. I'm curious what you would pick. And you might even go for the epics. We've got ridiculously good epics in here. But for me, I see two big debates. Armanz versus Fabian and Queen of Hearts versus Odin. So we will dive into those. Of course, bearing in mind, guys, this summon is part of the summon rush for the fusion. My plan, I mean, in theory, is to skip, though, this summon rush because there will be a hero's path with summon rush in it next weekend. So if you're doing the fusion, I think that hero's path you have to do, at least part of it. That's probably the priority, and it might have his soul in there. There could be a Titan event as well that it could tie into. So yeah, I think that's part of why they put such good stuff in here, is because, you know, there's good reasons to skip this one, but they've made the champions very juicy. Let's go. We've got Armanz versus Fabian. Who is better? The anniversary fusion from last year or the anniversary fusion for this year? This is a tough call. This is really a tough call. The big problem that Armanz faces is the Wand of Submission, which is winning by 64%, but you guys might be forging some. I did 2 full legendary forges. No, sorry, I did a legendary forge and 2 epic forges today. Got junk, got nothing useful, but yeah, you start picking up some wands, and when this is upgraded, it becomes ridiculous, right? It becomes a 50% chance to reflect Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Petrification, and Sheep. This really wrecks Armanz because he's doing an AoE stun on his A2. He's doing a sheep on his A3. You know, like Armanz comes in, you try to sheep someone on the enemy team, 50-50, you get sheeped instead, and you're out of the fight for 2 turns. It's brutal. It's brutal. That's a huge problem for Armanz, and it will be the further we go, basically. I almost feel like this relic is sort of designed to counter Armanz. And of course, in practice, it's made nice, absolutely absurdly overpowered. He was already OP, now he's just on another level. Yeah, so that's definitely a problem, and everyone is probably going to be getting one of these, but you won't know which champion they've put it on, of course. Armanz, though, I think he's still phenomenal. He's still so good. He can still solo carry a fight. Him and Fabian both have the same issue, where they're both going to be insane for faction wars. They're both fantastic for arena, but they're not super useful for like dungeons and bosses or anything. But that's okay. Fabian has an aura that works in siege, but is fairly weak for arena, whereas Arman's aura doesn't work in siege, but is very strong for arena. And yeah, Fabian comes in with lockout and some buff stripping, and then his passive is phenomenal, punishing revives and protecting him from CC. And yeah, his A2 is crazy. He can be spamming fears better than anybody else. He's really good. His A1 is even actually better than I thought when I first looked at it. He's actually pretty good at placing the fears as well. Fabian is really good. I find it tricky to pick between the two. I find it tricky. I think that Armanz is actually better on paper. I actually think Armanz is totally overpowered on paper. I think Fabian is extremely good, but he's close to OP, but probably not OP. I think he's just ridiculously good on paper. I think they're pretty close, and honestly, I mean, you should have done the Fabian fusion if you wanted him, but I would say right now, they're pretty close. Maybe Armanz edges it out ever so slightly, just because he can solo carry fights, and let's be realistic, not everyone has 10 wands of submission. But yeah, it's something to bear in mind. I think Armanz, for me, gets the slight edge, but I think Fabian is very good and a bit more future proof. Dune Herald Zaharis, Grand Oak Podrick, and Highkeeper Prisma. These are 3 newer champions. Um, they're good but lower value. Now, Dune Herald is the question mark for me. This guy is new. He's got 71 reviews. People liking him actually quite a bit. He has a 20% speed in all battles aura, so, slightly a 1% above average. He has intercepts on a target ally. Block debuffs increase speed on everyone. That's on a 3-turn cooldown. Cool. He has a single target attack that steals all buffs from the target before attacking, and then does buff spread, taking all buffs from him, putting them on all allies. And it does block buffs, block active skills. Only single target, but his A1 can spread debuffs. Yeah, his A1 has a 100% chance to spread 2 debuffs from the target and put them on all enemies. So you got a potentially strong combo there, actually, in his faction, certainly for Faction Wars. Come in, place block buffs, block active skills, and then go in with the Farrak and the Fat ally attack right after and spread those buffs, which is very strong. And he'll be the first person to hit if you put him in the lead position, which is fairly likely with that aura for Faction Wars. So it's pretty good. I really like Wings of Victory for Arena. He gives increased accuracy at the start of the round. That's great, right? It sets up your debuffers, like bombs, whatever, just to have increased accuracy without you doing anything. And this is potentially a lot of turn meter. He's a cool champ. I don't know if I would go for him in one of these events, but he's very good. Grand Oak Podrick, also very good. Grand Oak Podrick has some proven value, of course, in Fire Knight with the full team ally attack, in Hydra with the ally attack, the increased speed, turn meter boost, cleanse, and of course, fully restoring your destroyed max HP and healing you. Really nice against Head of Decay. And then he, depending, do you have an attack nuker? Do you have a defense nuker? Doesn't matter. He provides them both the buffs that they need and even gives increased accuracy to your supports. They're really strong passive. So yeah, Podrick is phenomenal too. All good options. Highkeeper Prisma is probably the weakest one. Interesting, maybe a bit of a combo with the Fusion champ, right? Because Prisma comes in with the 3-turn cooldown, single target attack, buff strip, and then brings in your highest crit damage to ally attack with 35% ignore defense. This is going to hit really hard with Zaharis because he uses this with ally attacks instead of his default skill. And this does hit hard. That 35% ignore defense is going to hit insanely hard. And if he kills someone, gives him an extra instant turn, which is powerful. He also does have a revive. So if you run an attack nuker with them as well, I think the Fusion guy, he's pretty unlikely to die. He's actually very tanky, very tanky. But this will bring your whatever other attack nukers back to life, which is good. He could do some stuns. He's got a fun flipping. It's kind of like what Empress does, flipping enemy buffs into debuffs instead, which is cool. I think Prisma is pretty decent. So yeah, honestly, they're all really good. Like Zaharis, he's solid. Podrick is solid. I'm gonna give Podrick a slight edge just because I know what he can do in teams, and having multiple ally attack champions is really good for Fire Knight. It's not necessary to use Podrick. You could use like Farrak, but Podrick makes it a bit easier. He's great for Hydra. I'm not 100% sure where Zaharis does get used. Seems like he's popular for, Chimera. And Prisma, I put Prisma, again, somewhat similar to Zaharis. Again, I'm not 100% sure where they're used. I think they will all be MVPs for Faction Wars Hard. But yeah, so all good champions. Now, we come to the Void Legendaries, and these are insane. Here's the other big question. Queen of Hearts versus Odin. I think a lot of people would say Odin is better. I'm going to be honest. So the way I would put it, I thought about this. I would probably rather have Odin myself, but like I'd probably pick him to have over having the Queen of Hearts. But I am much more scared of Queen of Hearts when I play in Arena. I'm much more likely, I know this from playing Live Arena Season 1, I'm much more likely to be stressed and have to ban Queen of Hearts than I am to have to ban Odin. That's worth considering. I think she's a more bannable champion because her passive is so strong. And if you do have a buff-heavy team, you have to just rely on protection sets and lightning cage. And if you get unlucky, she's just going to wreck your whole team. And she's going to get so many turns and start stripping you, fearing you, death branding you. She gets turn meter as well. Big ally attack. Very scary. She can do decent damage, and the decreased defense can be scary as well. I think she's pretty darn legit. So I'm actually more scared to fight Queen of Hearts than Odin. That being said, like I said, I'd probably rather have Odin because he's just a bit more straightforward to play around proactively, whereas Queen of Hearts is sort of reactive. But I'm going to put them actually pretty equal, pretty neck and neck. And I think, Odin, he's got the AoE decreased defense and the enemy max HP nuke. That's great for some bosses. But Queen of Hearts is a full ally attack with an AoE decreased defense A1 and increased attack for your team. That's also really good for bosses. So I find it almost impossible to pick. I'm coming slightly down on the side of Armanz. I find it really tough to pick between these, though. I genuinely do. Now, Senna is also absolutely worth picking. I'm going to put Senna a slightly lower value, but she's still amazing. She is so good for clan bosses, basically, because she gives you just so much turn meter. She's giving you increased speed, turn meter boost. The continuous heals are giving you even more turn meter, and of course, tons of continuous healing. And she's got a revive if you need it, and a speed in all battles aura. She's just a brilliant champ. I actually think dwarves. We're doing up like some faction war stuff for hellhades.com at the moment. Dwarves are definitely, they're kind of slow. They're a pretty slow faction. They don't have a ton of turn meter control. Yeah, they really don't have that much. Senna, really very unusual for a dwarf for faction wars anyway. Plus being a reviver and healer is very good. I think she's great. She's particularly strong for Chimera, of course, and makes those teams very easy to run because you simply get so many turns. So she's absolutely worth pulling for. I just personally value arena champions a bit more because arena is sort of like, I mean, it's always too difficult, like there's always a bigger spender to come and smash you no matter what you do. So unless you are the biggest, if you are the biggest spender, hi, thanks for watching. But yeah, like arena is kind of tougher, I think, but that's my thought. So honestly, this is one of the most generous I've ever been about a progressive event. I think you could effectively, reasonably pick almost anything. Sorry, it's a bit deceptive. I would actually value these two higher than them, and I put Senna equal. But yeah, I'd actually be valuing two Void Legendaries. The line's gone a bit wobbly. More than Armanz and Fabian. Sorry, just to make that clear. I think Queen of Hearts, Odin are the strongest two champs here, and Senna is sort of equal to the Armanz Fabian, pretty much. Something like that. Boom. Remember, this is just a progressive chance event as well. Your chance to get the chosen legendary from Void Shards is a lot better than from other types of shard, but it's still not great. I think it's about 7% from these shards, and it might be somewhere closer to 20% with these. I have to do some updated numbers because they've been adding more and more champions to the game. So I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm sure someone in the comments will clarify what the current numbers actually are. But you are much more likely not to get them, than to get them. But still, if you are close to Mercy, Queen of Hearts, Odin, Senna, absolutely go for it. If you don't have Armanz or Fabian, you're close to Mercy, absolutely go for it. And if you wanted one of these other ones and you're close to Mercy and you've got the others, then yeah, again, I think it does make sense. So they're all very good. Now for the epics, Deacon, Stag Knight, Ugo, all amazing. They're all really, really good. Obviously not as good as the legendaries. I find it, again, hard to pick between these, to be honest. They're all so good. Deacon, all the turn meter, and super consistent decreased defense. Stag Knight, just the core of debuffs you want. Decreased speed, decreased attack, decreased defense, even a bit of increased accuracy for you. Amazing progression champ. And then Ugo, Hydra MVP. If you need that decreased defense champ, you need block buffs, Ugo has you covered. Actually goes pretty well with the fusion, who brings you the weak and decreased speed. Ugo is bringing you a lot of the other stuff that you need. Sabbatha is really good as well. I'd say slightly less useful than these. I definitely overestimated her a bit. She's got an amazing revive and great buffs. Yeah, she's gonna be great for faction wars, but you might have Rector Drath already for the faction. You might have Ancora for the faction, which makes me a little less enthused about her. I think Skytouch Shaman is the weakest. I'd say actually bet I'm being probably too generous with old Skytouched here. Hang on. I'm not a huge fan, honestly, of Skytouched anymore. I think she's kind of fallen off. And Barbarians is incredibly strong. if you've been getting some of these login champions and fusions, they've been very, very, very pushing barbarians and Sacred Order recently. So I kind of feel like you don't need more champs of those factions. Um, yeah, whereas let's say like Ogren and dwarves are it's a little bit scarce, for example, or orcs a bit scarce as well to a degree. They've got good epics, but yeah, I think that, funny enough, I think the Void epics are actually slightly weaker than the regular epics, who have like distinct places and distinct teams, like Ugo for Hydra, Deacon, very good for Demon Lord, very good for Dark Fae, that sort of stuff. A Stag Knight, very good for Fire Knight, etc. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on all. I guess Stonecaller would be very good for Fire Knight if you gave her the blessing to reflect a bit of damage with her increased defense. Quite good there. Yeah, that's my thoughts on all of it. They're all amazing. Really, like you really can't go wrong. For me personally, though, it is, again, bearing in mind, guys, it is just a progressive, but I like doing these as sort of my take on the meta and where we are at the moment. Even though these champs are amazing, and I'm sure we're going to get boosted summons for the Summon Rush hero path next week, I doubt they'll be as good. I'll be honest, it's going to be hard for them to be as good. Maybe they might squeeze in like some faction unity champions or something for that hero's path. That would be what I would do if I was Plarium and I was an evil mastermind too. That's why I'm giving them ideas, maybe, but I'm sure they've got their evil plans sorted well in advance. But yeah, it's, again, if you're close to Mercy, I cannot blame you for pulling for these. I am nowhere close to Mercy, so I'm not going for them at all. I'm skipping. But yeah, great selection here. It's hard to get better than this, I'd say. There you go. Yeah, again, maybe faction unities are even more rare, but yeah, you don't get them from Void Shards. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you. Don't forget about the giveaway, your UM number, and who would you pick out of all of those? Let me know, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.